Huh. What the? Man, I don't know what the heck's wrong with this thing. It's been driving me crazy all day. Sheesh. Well, I had this thing sitting in the garage while I was farting around with the ball joints, and then it's been very cold, but I had a no start. I couldn't get this thing started for anything, and it's bizarre. Usually it just fires right up. Um, I ended up I needed to do it anyway, so I ended up changing the ignition module, the coil thing up there, and plugs and wires. Didn't bring it back. Pulled the injector rail out and set it aside, and cranked it, and the injectors fired gasoline just as they are supposed to. Popped it back in there and pulled the cover on the timing belt, and it spins perfectly normally. Man, this thing's just been driving me batshit nuts, dudes. I want to nurse it along as much as I can, because, man, with Bitcoins this low in price, I want to spend every single penny I can swing on Bitcoins. So, anyway, I was just about ready for desperate measures, and then I tried an old trick that I used to do back when I owned those old $500 special cars. You take a pen and just open the throttle valve, or the throttle body, I guess you could call it. Back in the old carbureted days, that's what we would do. Stuck a wire, turned the key on, and was able to crank it from out here, because I was about to spray some starting fluid in there. But all I needed to do apparently was open the flap, and then it started. And then, of course, it ran away because it revved way up until I yanked the pen out. But man, that was friggin' nuts. I couldn't figure out why. I mean, it had spark, it had fuel, and it had the cam gears. I mean, the cam is obviously turning, or the cams are turning. Shit, this thing was, man, it was starting to strain my patience. So anyway, I think it might have just been the severe cold weather, and it got a little bit too much fuel in it. Maybe it had too low a battery voltage, and then it got sort of flooded, if you can flood a fuel injected engine. And even still, I mean, I fired up the air compressor when I pulled the fuel injectors out, sprayed, I mean, blasted air through here, and I got some gasoline and oil blasting out the top. So who knows, maybe somehow in some weird way it was flooded. I am not an automotive mechanic. So anyway, I got it running, and I'll go ahead and put it back together again and see if I can do a cold start on it tomorrow morning. And if it does, I'll put it back in service. If not, man, I'll just keep driving my truck to work. I had it in the garage because I have a little bit of trouble with the steering. I mean, you crank it around, and and you can hear a little, after a while, after you're driving it for a while, you can hear a little, and that's ball joints. Probably the lower ball joints. So I managed to grease one side, even though there's no grease fitting. I just bored a hole. But man, this thing has really been straining my patience. And I do not want to buy another car until Bitcoins are back up at least over 10 grand. Then I can divert enough money to basically get some new wheels if I decide to stay in the United States. So that was my wonderful one day off today. I ran into another problem. I was over, doing the courthouse thing. I got sucked in for jury duty once again, and man, I wanted on that jury. I didn't make it through jury selection because the number I drew was like very high, and the prosecution and defense finished booting everybody off that they didn't want, and they basically didn't get to me, so I wasn't able to get on the jury. But it was yet another domestic violence thing, guys. I didn't get to hear any of the case because they only just finished selecting the jury, but I wanted on that jury. Last time, it was about 18 months ago, and it was very stressful, but man, was I glad that I went, because it was yet another domestic violence situation where this meth head woman was attempting to sacrifice her meth head boyfriend, who actually had no criminal record and a good job. Somehow he was holding it together even on meth. But anyway, he stopped using meth supposedly, and then, but basically she was attempting to say, oh, he was a bad influence, and if I get rid of him, or if justice is done and he's in jail, then he will no longer be in my life, and the bad influence will be gone. So you can give me my welfare baby back, right? So basically, every single woman on that jury, all 9 of them, were just guilty, instantaneous, like guilty, no hesitation, penis, guilty. And I was shocked. I mean, I knew, being a red pill guy, I knew that things were bad. I knew things were real bad, but I did not know that they were quite that bad. Every single vagina on the jury, guilty, instant. And and that guy would have fried if it wasn't for me, one other mechanic, and one old retired guy. We dug in our heels and we stopped him. It was a hung jury, and it was stressful as fuck. God. All 9 women, and just said guilty. So basically, I wanted on that jury, but they didn't get to my number, and finally they put together a jury that prosecution and defense could deal with, and then the remaining jury people were dismissed back to the jury pool, and then it was late in the day and there were no more court cases, so they dismissed us. So that was it for my jury selection this time around. I mean, I'll probably get summoned again in a year or 2 or 3, but this round of selection is now done. So I had one, and I picked Tuesdays and Wednesdays off, and both the last time and this time I was summoned to show up on Tuesday. Thanks, guys. So basically, I was willing to sacrifice my days off. I don't care how many, if I could stop something like that from happening again. And I was very proud of me and that other mechanic and that old retired guy. We dug in our heels and we stopped them from frying that guy. So that's why whenever I get a jury summons, a lot of people try to get out of it because it doesn't pay shit. And unless your employer, which I'm lucky, my employer reimburses my wages if I go on jury duty. But if they didn't, if that didn't happen, they would lose all that money. But still, even if I wasn't reimbursed for it, I would still go. And I would stand right there, just like Gandalf, saying, "You shall not pass!" So, yeah. And it would have taken some serious evidence, real evidence, and possibly prior criminal records and all that, because, man, a woman could just start beating you into a corner, and then when you respond with anything just to get her, just to stop the hitting from continuing, she's on the phone with the police. "Oh, you abused me. Oh, my goodness." And then you're off to jail. That best situation of all, go MGTOW. It's an ugly day here in Seattle, and my house it's seen better days, and my little awning has holes in it. My grapes have no leaves on them. But such as it is, this place is all mine. So, there we are. That's what I wanted to do. But I mean, I wanted to get on the jury, but I wasn't selected, so oh well. So whenever any man or MGTOW is selected for jury, I highly encourage them to go. As much of a pain in the ass as it is, I recommend that you go, because you could stop a guy from getting just absolutely obliterated through no fault of his own, and you could stop it. So yeah, I'm willing to do it. Well, guys, man, I don't know what the heck is up with this car. And it's just, I'm just grateful that I have my truck. I mean, if the car fails me, I can drive the truck. And as soon as I put that ink pen in that little intake in throttle body thing, and got some air flowing through it, immediately it fired right up. I didn't have to use starting fluid or anything. And that is freaking strange. So if I take it to work and it fails me at work, I think I will I'll be able to pull the the air cleaner and everything off and do that same trick and get the thing going again. But man, what a pain in the ass. So that's that's what I wanted to discuss. And every single payday, I kick $1,000 into those Bitcoins, because man, they are not going to be down. I mean, all too soon, they're going to be back up over 5,000, over 10,000, over 50,000. They're going to be. It's really looking like it's going to be pretty darn big. And especially last time around, back in 2008, when MF Global and Merrill Lynch and all them were starting to like fail, and then MF Global failed and took all their customers' money, and the big guys were bailed out, like Citibank and whatnot. And the little guys like us, we of course were sacrificed and thrown under the bus. So that caused, I think, that was one of the things that caused precious metals to spike. And last time around, my gold between 2008 and 2011 went up 70%, and my silver went up 260%. And those are assets that you can hold yourself outside of a bank or a brokerage or whatever. And you can do the same thing with Bitcoins. And I am of the opinion that when things get scary again, that will add an additional kicker to the normal market cycle. Like right now, we've dropped down to about 2015, the pullback of 2015. And over the next year, we should probably double, back up to about 6,000 something by the end of the year. And next year is the halvening, and Bitcoins tend to double, or some approximately double in halvening years as well. So then things should really take off from there. and people have seen Bitcoins fly up before, so they're going to be dumping into it to jump into that big, huge bull run. So yeah, I'm ready. Some people try to trade, and they try to predict the way the market swings, and then they try to put money in when it's down and sell at the top, and man, is that hard to do. Supposedly 90% of people who try to do that fail, and only about 10% of it make it kind of half-assed, and then only a small percentage of people really make money out of it. And you can see all these people, they're all over YouTube saying, "Oh, follow me, follow my price triggers." So their pricing points, and they try to help people buy low and sell high if you pay them a certain amount of money every month. And in my opinion, if they could really do trading well, they wouldn't need they wouldn't need to do that. So yeah, I'm not convinced of the value of these people who attempt to give you trading signals and whatnot. So I don't do it. I just buy every payday, go on with my life, and I'm done. And Bitcoins really appeal to me because once you own them, they are yours in a way that nothing else in this world ever can be yours, including your life. I mean, everything can be taken from you more easily than they can take your Bitcoins. They can take, I mean, of course, your house, your retirement, your bank accounts, you know, if they find them, they can take your precious metals, and everything, you know, all of your relationships, all of that can just be taken from you, and they can take all of that much more easily than they can take your Bitcoins from you. In order to get your Bitcoins, you have to hand them over. So that's about all I wanted to cover. I always get back to Bitcoins. Okay, guys, I'm going to fart around with this thing a little bit more, put the intake and everything back on, and see if it'll start, in which case I'll pull it out front and then give it a cold start test tomorrow morning. And if it might have just been some kind of weird ass glitch. So then, and if worse comes to worse and it dies on me at work, heck, there's always Uber, or I can pull the valve thing off and do the pencil trick again. But in any case, I don't want to spend anything until like for at least a year or so while I wait for Bitcoins to come back. Okay, guys, I'm going to let you go. And don't get married.